Écoutez, on va continuer dans la même veine, puis je vais appeler tout de suite Julie Dalbec. Julie, est-ce que tu peux venir Alors, Julie va être la modératrice de notre prochain panel.
Bonjour, on m'entend?
Oui. Et Julie, écoute, avec Andy, alors on a eu la conversation. Apparemment, l'intelligence artificielle peut résoudre plein de problèmes.
Ah oui?
Et je pense que toi, ton prochain panel, c'est justement, est-ce que l'intelligence artificielle, c'est vraiment la solution miracle?
Oui, ou is AI really the shits?
Oh,
Parce
like
que
that.
c'est ça le vrai titre de
Est-ce que ça a été supprimé dans Donc, écoutez, Julie est la directrice de programmation de HUB Montréal.
Exact.
Je vais la laisser présenter son fantastique panel.
Oui.
Puis écoute, faites-nous réfléchir.
Merci. Avant de présenter le panel, je vais vous présenter HUB un petit peu. Donc, cette introduction va être en français et en anglais. Je m'appelle Julie, je suis super heureuse d'être ici. Si on m'avait dit un jour que je monterais un panel avec Sandra Rodriguez, je l'aurais jamais cru. Mais aujourd'hui, grâce à ma merveilleuse job, je travaille avec plein de créatifs comme vous autres à tous les jours pour créer du contenu. C'est un énorme plaisir. So what is HUB? HUB is the International Marketplace for Digital Creativity. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? We're matchmakers. Donc, nous invitons des acheteurs internationaux de partout dans le monde pour rencontrer nos studios montréalais for 3 days, once a year in October, and we present them to our Quebec creatives, studios who excel in VR, XR, immersive experiences, museums, technologies, for public spaces, and much more. And they all use AI. We're present all year round, but especially coming up is the next edition in October, and we are going to announce our call for project very soon, so please follow us because we are really interested in new projects to show at HUB. So when Sandra and I spoke about this panel together, we really wanted to bring different people together to talk about the real deal with AI. So that is why we called it, Is AI Really the Shits? L'IA, vraiment hot ou juste du vent? Parlons AI sans filtre. Je vous présente Sandra Rodriguez, multidisciplinary artist and researcher working with emergent media, XR AI. Claude G. Théoret, CEO of Ex Machina AI, investor, founder of Nexology. Emily Page, co-founder and general director of ED Films. Jean-François Larouche, directeur Real Time Offer and creative director of Moment Factory. Et Tania Contoyani, comédienne professionnelle et présidente de l'Union des artistes. Bonne conférence. Merci.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who saw me very comfortably dancing this morning, I'm really uncomfortable on these like swiveling chairs while on a panel. I always feel I'm going to fall out. But super excited to be with you with this panel because, as the title says, we thought we're tired of the debate. We're tired of the pros and the cons. We're told you can talk clearly. This is AI. Everybody knows AI. We love AI or we hate it, but we know what we're talking about. And it felt like we're ready for a conversation where we can actually call the bluff out loud. And I'm super, super, super reassured to have seen so many speakers since this morning do it on stage, alive and in public. Do so many of it, of what we do in the backgrounds when we're talking amongst each other. And we were wondering, who are we going to invite? Now, I'm doing this panel in English because, a lot of transparency, the AI is really bad at translating quand tu utilises deux ou quizás tres lenguajes. Entonces, si hay un problema en hablar diferentes lenguajes, oh no, pareil, ha réussi, cool. Molto bene. Ma tutto bene. Sì. Now I'm confused. So, the goal, we thought, how do we talk about AI by being super transparent? We have here a CEO of one of the first AI companies in Canada. So if there's somebody that's actually really enthusiastic about AI, it's you, Claude. But at the same time, that has been calling the bullshit out in every meeting I've ever seen him with real facts and numbers. So I thought, well, and he's going to surprise us with some numbers that we often don't hear. Then we have Emily Page, because Emily Page is known as being a founder and creator, but also, driving the company ED Film. ED Film does animation, But they do more than that. Secretly, they also create tools that serve so many artists internationally. I've heard about your tools in Germany, why I didn't know it was you that had created them. And I'm just thinking, you have embraced AI in your company like nobody has before, really with full abandon. And sometimes when we talked about it, I realized, some things are in the closet that maybe need to be disclosed. Jean-François Larouche, I love to doppelgang with you on panels or on stage, and when everybody's not sure, I've been invited to talk to Moment Factory, to entice their creatives to not be afraid of AI, and then one day you were on a panel saying, let's not be ostriches, on fait pas l'autruche, and I thought, yeah, but maybe we should, so I love to have this debate ongoing. And then, Tanya, we've heard you this morning. Les vrais artistes, et je vais passer au français pour une bonne raison, vous représentez des artistes francophones et non anglophones à l'Union des artistes. On s'adresse à eux, c'est vraiment dommage qu'on ne le fasse pas dans leur langue. Donc, mais pour les biens du panel, on a dû choisir une langue qui convenait à tout le monde. Mais donc, encore une fois, vous avez des enjeux réels, des enjeux où on demande aux artistes de opt-in ou opt-out et pas de débattre de ces enjeux-là. Donc, comment est-ce qu'on fait pour avoir une place ou une voix? Puis là, pour faire ce panel, OK, on a tout notre beau monde, puis je me suis dit, c'est quoi la chose la moins originale que je pourrais faire? J'ai pas de clicker, or should I have one? Yeah, merci. C'est quoi la chose la moins originale que je pourrais faire? Ben, ça, c'est la vidéo de Julie Dalbec. Julie, voulais-tu me présenter ta vidéo de HUB Montréal? Es-tu là? Donc, on a demandé à chacun d'avoir une seule slide de présentation. Vous m'avez entendu ce matin, pour ceux qui étaient ici, je suis une artiste multidisciplinaire qui travaille au croisement de l'intelligence artificielle, des médias émergents, mais j'utilise encore beaucoup le dessin pour essayer de vendre mes idées. J'aime dessiner à la main et je ne transforme pas mes dessins avec l'intelligence artificielle. C'est pour moi et les gens à qui je parle. Et souvent, ça permet de partager des idées de manière différente. Et là, je vais demander à chacun d'entre vous de présenter aussi votre one slide pour expliquer un peu qui vous êtes comme humain. Mais pour commencer le bal avec notre question « Is AI really the shits ?» au pluriel. En fait, j'ai fait la chose la moins imaginative au monde. J'ai demandé à ChatGPT. Les réponses étaient vraiment mauvaises. Au bout de 10 échanges, j'ai continué de trouver que les questions étaient vraiment mauvaises. Au bout de 20 échanges, j'ai comparé ChatGPT à Gemini, juste pour m'assurer. J'ai fait tout ce qui n'est pas environmentally sustainable. J'ai pas arrêté d'essayer d'avoir des questions originales et tout ce que j'avais, c'était du cliché. Donc, en effet, la question « Is it really the shit? » Well, in this case, no. Ça stoppe mon creative block, but it doesn't make me any satisfaction about the questions that are relevant or not. Par contre, j'ai commencé à avoir, plus il a commencé à considérer mon système de questions et de comparer les deux, à comprendre qu'il est en compétition, je me suis mis à avoir des questions quand même plus intéressantes. Je disais, Gemini est meilleur que toi, Gemini que ChatGPT était meilleur. Bref, j'ai une première question. If generative AI wasn't profitable for a few companies, would we even be having this conversation? On parle de l'intelligence artificielle comme de notre avenir qui s'en vient, qui est inévitable. S'il n'y avait pas une poignée d'individus qui feraient de l'argent et beaucoup d'argent avec, would we even be having this conversation? So present your slide and just answer, perhaps, would you be here to have this conversation if there wasn't any money for you to do in it? Claude, you're first.
Start with me.
Well, I actually made a lot of money with AI. So I found, so a long, long time ago, if I have to go over my background, is I am actually an astrophysicist. I founded the astronomy department at McGill. And before that, I worked at CERN. So a long, long time ago, when the World Wide Web was invented in 1992, 2 years later, I was writing code. But then quickly transitioned to my first company, which was called Nixology. Nixology analyzed 3 billion tweets a year, 85 million Facebook pages, 85 million blogs, 7 million Facebook pages, all of Reddit, and all of Yelp. And I had a lot of political clients. I'm not going to tell them, but I certainly had a lot of military clients as well. So I ended up doing like $20 million worth of AI services and software, all before, let's say, 2020. Sold the company, became an investor in the local AI ecosystem. I'm an investor in 4 venture capital firms and a whole bunch of companies. So I own equity in roughly 100 companies right now. And so I'm seeing what's happening with AI. But also, I still like physics. I love fishing. So if like fishing is my drawing for you, I go out, I had no contact, no phone, no nothing, and that's where I connect with nature. And so, is AI the shit? Well, absolutely it is. It's not as much as a shit as people think it is.
Super good answer. Next is Emily Pay.
Thank you, Sandra. So, as Sandra mentioned, I'm here as a business owner. I've owned an independent animation studio for 18 years. As we all can say, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder for that, because running a creative entrepreneurship business is no easy feat. I put a bunch of little details about myself here. I think particularly important here is 22 years of Indigenous collaboration. So thinking about a lot ancestral knowledges, Indigenous knowledges, where that comes into the AI ecosystem. And whether or not AI is the shits. It's certainly been the shits for me in the last year. It definitely came and rocked our business. We've been calling ourselves a re-startup because of it. And so, because I noted that Claude is a numbers person, I brought a little bit of numbers for us. So, from 2023 to 2024, we reduced our headcount by 44%. Our payroll reduced by 30%. Our costs, overall operating costs, reduced by 42%, and our net profits increased by 137%. So I'm not going to pass any judgment on that yet, but I also want to say that in terms of AI as a perceived and how it's affecting our business, I've seen budgets increase or decrease substantially. I've seen timelines being affected, and I've seen expectations from clients and partners go through the roof, and that's what really we deal with every single day.
A real balance here, money to be made, but clients certainly starting to demand things that are not always réalisables or doable in real time. Jean-François, you've been on and off too, because you work with creatives that sometimes resist technology and new introductions to technology.
Actuellement, je vais y aller en français pour accompagner l'UDA ici à côté de moi. Je viens du Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, en fait. Alors, j'ai toujours été un mini-wheat. Je viens d'apprendre qu'un mini-wheat, les Français de France ne connaissent pas qu'est-ce que c'est. Alors, j'ai toujours eu le côté créatif et le côté techno-geek assumé dans tout ça. Par rapport au AI, je suis un passionné optimiste de technologie, mais je pourrais dire que je suis assez rationnel aussi. Je pense qu'il faut acknowledge acknowledge en français, je sais pas. On peut prendre, s'assurer qu'on acknowledge les risques. C'est fou quand tu essaies de faire le franglais. Hein? Je suis chez Moment Factory depuis 10 ans. Donc, j'ai vu la transition. Moment venait de passer de la transition entre l'analogue et le numérique. Et depuis 26 ans, Moment Factory a toujours hijacké la technologie, a toujours utilisé la techno pour créer de la magie, créer des illusions, dans le but de ramener les gens dans le monde physique. C'est une mission qui est encore super accurate. Désolé, hein, j'ai des mots anglais qui poussent. Et pour finir, j'étais là au début des Internets aussi. Et j'ai toujours été j'ai l'impression que toute ma carrière, j'ai été dans le change management, dans la gestion de changement, à accompagner. Je me souviens que dans le temps, je travaillais à Radio-Canada et il y a des journalistes qui pleuraient parce qu'on travaillait sur la version de Tout.tv, puis que les journalistes arrivaient dans les bureaux et pleuraient parce qu'ils ne comprenaient pas comment ils allaient finir par survivre, puis ça fait déjà 25 ans de ça, 20 ans de ça peut-être. Donc, les changements, ça arrive. Le truc avec le AI, c'est que ça arrive encore plus vite que les changements qui sont passés avec le numérique, qui ont brassé beaucoup les gens. Donc, très content d'en parler. Je pense qu'on va en parler beaucoup, et démocratiser le débat. Alors, voilà, à vous.
Merci.
Eh bien, ça fait bien le suivi. Moi aussi, j'ai un petit côté givré et un côté moins, parce que j'ai étudié en administration des affaires avant d'aller devenir comédienne. Alors, est-ce que l'IA, c'est la vraie patente? Je peux dire une chose de notre côté, oui. C'est une vraie menace, c'est vraiment là, on est aux premières lignes. Mais il ne faut pas oublier que les arts, les artistes ont toujours utilisé et même développé la technologie. mais ils l'ont utilisé. Là, c'est le contraire qui est en train de se passer, c'est-à-dire que l'intelligence artificielle est en train de nous utiliser et il ne faut pas oublier que moi, je représente 13 000 artistes-interprètes, donc des chanteurs, des danseuses, des actrices, et qu'on n'a pas de redevance. Donc, depuis le numérique, on a vu une dégradation de nos conditions de vie et de travail. Et en plus, maintenant, on sait qu'on a nourri cette bête depuis 2 décennies minimum. Et c'est maintenant qu'on commence à toucher les effets.
C'est dur quand même. We've heard how it can benefit a company. We hear how it's a threat for artists, but it's not just a threat. It's not just about today's livelihood. You were telling us about clear examples about real ethical dilemmas, such as, the car. Who is the self-driving car? What is it going to bump into? And sometimes the joke is the brakes. You should just hit the brakes. Maybe that's the first thing it should do, not hit anyone. Well, you have a clear ethical dilemma when you have coworkers, colleagues that are asked to train with their voices, systems, and of course they can get retribution now, and a lot of retribution now, knowing that now their voice can become whatever for perpetuity and in any continent. So you always have kind of the duality. So let's talk, okay. A lot of adoption of new technology, you've said it, Jean-François, you've laid the table, thank you for that, is about testing and iterating. And I was just going to ask how much of your work, this is a ChatGPT question. When I told it, Gemini kept asking me cliche questions, and I was spending my time asking it cliche question. It said, how much of your work is now just cleaning up AI's mess? And I thought, that's a real good question, because it's kind of true. Sometimes some systems work really, really fast, and sometimes they don't do exactly what you want. And weirdly, you're now 8 hours in trying to fix something that usually takes you an hour, and you're just wondering why it just took you 8 hours to fix something that is supposed to be beneficial in time. So maybe you're not good at it, maybe it's not your best system, etc. But there's a lot of back and forth. I'm thinking about, Emily, your notion of clients' demands. What happens with clients' demands? We also have projects where we needed to pull the plug on AI-generated images because creative artistic directors were spinning on creating the best image for a mood board. And a mood board is just a mood board. It's just so everybody understands the direction. But after a month or a month and a half of spinning to create the best generated image, that's just a lot of money and time spent for nothing, because mood boards is in your mind, and you could also just explain it with words. So you've mentioned sometimes clients demanding something so high quality and fidelity because you can get there, but that's not what your project will look like. Can you explain a little bit more of these situations that are a little bit paradoxical?
I think you pretty much summed it up, actually. But to
there must
say,
be more to it.
Yeah, of course. So we've seen many examples of clients coming with mood boards or style frames, as we call them in animation, that are developed in silo or alone with an AI-generated model, and then they are held to be the final render. And so I think more and more clients are starting to wake up to how unrealistic the expectations are, how sold they have been by all of the magical solutions that there could be. I've been in many boardrooms when the little emoji dollar signs come up and I hear, oh, but I heard AI is going to reduce 30% of the cost, so, how come? But we've also been able to turn it on its head, too, and so we're integrating AI tools on a daily basis. I did a count with my team, so we're using about 10 to 12 AI tools on a daily basis in all of our pipelines. Definitely, it's not reliable in production. I'm going to repeat that again. It is not reliable in production, but in pre-development and in post-production, there's a lot of positives. So it's always trying to find the balance.
Jean-François, perhaps more on the creative note before I go back to Claude and more expectation?
Yeah, I would say we decided, as I mentioned, we always hijack technology, so we decided that we would harness AI the most that we could. So our philosophy is AI by artists for artists. So what we decided to do is that we have a group of people that take the open source code that is out there, and we create and we try to create our new pipeline with artists being involved. So this is something that is very exciting. I understand it could not be applied to all the creative job like actor and everything, but for what we do at Moment Factory, creating real-world, location-based entertainment with visuals, with like the video game coming in the real world, this philosophy helps us, I think, have a clear vision of how we're going to harness and we want to tame this machine, this intellectual AI. And the other thing I want to add is that every time we talk about this, I think it's important to talk about the timeline, because right now tools are new and glitchy, but we always have to keep in mind that what's coming after generative AI, it's agentic AI. We're entering the agentic AI, where our agent will be able to do those modifications for us, talking with the generative AI. So yeah, I think we need to understand what's going on to make sure that we discuss about it and we find solution and
Claude, we had a pre-call. I actually had to watch the pre-call again just to understand a lot of its implications. And Claude, you had so many numbers that I even discussed a little bit this morning because they are truth-speaking. For instance, if AI is the shit, and we all have seen what it can do, so we kind of believe it's the shit, we could also see in the background that somehow we're asked to pay for money that is constantly lost, so we need to buy in, and our fear of missing out is also a strategy for making sure everybody adopts it now, because we need to pay back the money that we owe to other big companies and corporations. In a nutshell.
So I'll finish that point. So one of the points that there's an important paper that I shared amongst everyone that was written by Penn State and OpenAI Research, and it's dated 2023. And in that paper, OpenAI and the people of Penn State had evaluated how much of each type of job can be automated. Okay? And I've been doing AI for a long time. Like I have 2 patents on supervised learning. I started in 2008. And I remember I was interviewed several times, like what jobs will be left, in AI? And I go, priest, rabbi, okay? They're not going away, okay? Because we're going to want humans. So in that paper that I think we could all share, most jobs are only automated to 30%, which means we can lay off 30% of the people if that job is saturated, meaning do we have full employment in that job? Okay? In jobs where we still need, like in Montreal, we still need 70,000 programmers in the city that we're short of. Right? There's 70,000 programming jobs open. Well, probably even though AI is now automating 90% of programming, it's still not going to solve that 70,000 person workforce. But everybody wants to be actors. So there are way more actors than there are actors' jobs. Those are the ones where there will be layoffs. And if AI is not doing a good job the first time, it was never meant to be. For the most part, AI gets 30% of the job done. Okay? On a big scale, it's 70, and in things like encoding, it's 90. Okay? And so ironically, the first people who are really losing their jobs are the people who invented AI. Okay? No joke. Like, Facebook is investing, here are some numbers. Facebook is investing $64 billion into AI this year. They just laid off 5,000 programmers, not the bottom performers, 5,000. Okay? And they're putting in money in AI. Salesforce, not hiring a single programmer this year. Okay, so the artists are complaining, we're always going to need, certainly for like theater, that's not going to go away. One of the things that I said is like the rabbi, and again, we talked about this, AI is to this revolution what combustion was to horses. Okay, in the First World War, most of the stuff that was moved around was by train and horse. And when we had combustion, well, that made super fast planes and boats and tanks. And then we started moving things around by jeeps and trucks, not horses. So that scientific revolution got rid of horses. This is the first scientific revolution where we're getting rid of what? Cognition. Human cognition is what's being replaced. And now with generative AI, the first wave of AI, which is vision, computer vision, that's cognition. And now we're getting rid of creation. Okay, and people say it's stealing ideas. Well, you know what? I'm a musician. Okay, I had a band. I composed a whole bunch of songs. I'd say 90% of the songs that I composed on top of other people. Right? I had a Blondie cover band. Okay, I did a lot of original stuff. No, it was really good.
Let's repeat that, please, for the audience.
I had a Blondie cover band.
A Blondie cover band.
And we were called the Shamefuls. And you know that La Buvette chez Simone? Who goes to La Buvette? For 2 years, that was called Scala, and I was a regular band at Scala, okay? And like a lot of people came to see us. People used to call it a sing-along in an insane asylum, okay? So, but you're never going to replace that with AI. So the performing arts and the human touch are going to be there in the same way that today, horses are still around. It's just that horses now are a luxury experience. Whereas before it was the poorest people who had horses, who used to tame horses and ride them. Today, it's the super rich. That's where we're going. So the artists, and then that being in a theater with somebody or seeing a live band, that's going to be more and more higher price. But your programming bro, his salary is going down to zero very fast. Okay, your accountant, I'd be worried. Okay, because what Facebook is doing is $64 billion for free.
I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. For those of you who saw the list of positions that I put up this morning, the first part were real things, the second part were what I think are going to be lost, such as accountants. Wow. And CEOs are coming up real fast, too. Yeah, accountants, lawyers, everything that has an association to protect themselves, they're going to resist a little while, like radiologists and that kind of stuff, but we're coming for you, okay? Because the more structured your data, the easier AI can replace you. Okay? The more boring and repetitive your job, the easier it's going to be to replace. So the big question that you were bringing up, so we'll close that chapter, okay? Like we're not all going to be replaced. One of the good things is that the things that are no longer valued, like being a mom, which makes no money, are going to have a monetary value because everything else is going to free. So that's one thing to consider. Picking up garbage maybe will be paid, because everything else is going to free, okay? And that's what people think AI is going to break capitalism, right? Sal Malbin said this, Andreessen Horowitz said this, is that this could be the end of capitalism. And if you want to read a really good book, Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut. Who's read this book? Okay, read Player Piano, because it's a dystopia about when the last man's job gets automated by AI.
Mais pour ramener le pendule un peu de l'autre côté, moi, je pense que la création, je veux dire, c'est relié à l'émotion, à l'histoire qui est en arrière, de regarder un tableau qui a été fait par un AI ou d'imprimer un truc. Je veux dire, je pense que d'aller voir un spectacle où tu as de l'émotion ou que tu suis les... Moi, je crois vraiment que oui, il y a le paradigme, OK, extrême, que la création va être remplacée, mais moi, je crois vraiment...
J'ai pas dit ça.
OK. Non, mais il y a le paradigme...
C'est l'opposé de ce que j'ai dit.
C'est ça. Non, mais je veux le ramener quand même, ce point-là. Que c'est ça, le côté humain, oui, ça va rester, mais moi, je pense que ça va rester plus qu'on le dit, parce que de s'identifier à l'histoire qui est en arrière de ce qu'on regarde ou ce qu'on consomme est super important pour l'émotion. C'est ça que je pense.
Mais je pense que je suis d'accord avec Claude, que Claude nous a dit that's the narrative, but you believe that artists are going to be there because our jobs are so hard to automate in the first place.
But also humans don't want to go to confession to a priest that's a robot. They don't want a rabbi who's a robot telling them how to live their lives. Yep. Okay? And artists are like shamans that way. Okay? The shamanistic parts of our society. So a long time ago, I was a professor, right? And I started writing a book about mythology and physics. So just one of my things I didn't put in my background, right? But artists are very close to shamans. When you have somebody who has a rock band, 40,000 years ago, that was some shaman doing something and all of us dancing around a fire. Same thing goes for dance. That's hardwired in the back of our brain, the lizard brain. AI is not going to take that out. That shamanistic part, that is art. So that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
But even us, we create art how? The same way AI creates art. It looks at what has been done before. It does a random allocation. If you look at generative AI, the statistical part of AI, do you understand how generative AI is done?
Yeah.
The statistics of it? Non.
Mais c'est pas vrai, on n'a pas tout à fait accès, les créatifs, à tout ce qui a été fait avant. On est influencé, on est teinté, on a un héritage, mais c'est pas vrai qu'on a tout vu ce qui s'est fait avant nous. On n'est pas dans le plagiat quand on crée.
Le débat est
Le débat du
inévitable.
plagiat il existait bien avant l'intelligence artificielle. Quand on faisait du sampling, tout le débat du sampling.
Oui, mais c'est parce que vous dites que l'artiste crée de la même façon que l'intelligence artificielle. Je ne suis pas d'accord avec vous là-dessus. Il y en a qui ont fait du plagiat, l'IA ne fait que du plagiat.
Non, il ne fait pas que du plagiat. Il prend des choses qui sont connues, il fait un random... le processus, ça s'appelle j'ai oublié le mot statistique, là. Mais c'est grosso modo, tu fais des choses aléatoires autour des images qui existent déjà et tu fais du reinforcement learning pour dire qu'est-ce qui est acceptable. C'est le processus humain. Moi, quand j'écoute du Rush ou j'écoute du Queen, c'était comme moi, j'étais très influencé par Blondie. Mais j'ai été élevé sur la musique country. OK? So j'ai fait des versions country.
Blondie, we're going to have a song at the end of this panel, I'm telling you.
I fell in love. It was a blast. Soon found out, had a heart of glass. C'est comme ça, OK? Ça, c'est quelque chose de nouveau.
Parfait.
Mais c'est basé sur des itérations qu'on a faites, puis le processus qu'on a dans l'intelligence artificielle, ça se rapproche très près d'un processus humain.
Ça se rapproche, mais there's a real debate here because it's not just about repeating or randomizing, but making meaning out of what's been done in the past and what you want to say on top of it. I keep thinking about Duchamp's urinoir, that it's not just repeating from the past, but looking at the now and trying to give it a meaning. But I'm going to try to use this as a segue question because I told you these guys in the pre-panel, it can go on forever, but it's so rich. That's what I find is amazing about you guys. Because somewhere you all trust humans, you all believe in humans, and you're all sure that the way we adapt, and rebrand and rethink AI is going to change the way we're going to live with it. In a way, I'd love to ask these two questions. So one of them on the left is ChatGPT, the one on the right is Gemini. ChatGPT said, what is the single biggest AI myth that this industry keeps selling, and why does it persist, in your opinion? So don't answer both, because we don't have time. Pick one. And the other would be, what metrics do you use to prove the added value of AI in creative work? Is it how much more money you're making? Like Emily, you were showing some numbers. Is it how faster you're doing it, or how much more audience you're bringing in, or how much more creative and different it is? What's the metric that you're using to evaluate the value, the added value? And it could be negative or positive, but pick your side, ChatGPT or Gemini.
I would go with Gemini on the right? The metrics. Actually, we discussed about the preconception, and when you have ideas in your head and you want to communicate them and visualize them, I think it's a clear in my industry, at Moment Factory, when we can point out and discuss about the creative idea, supported with visual, it helps. So I think this is a metric of saving time, and also for some projects, like one of our mission is to bring people together and make people connect in the physical world. We created the AI photo booth that you can try out there, and AI has bring value into our mission of connecting people, because we use AI to create those new kind of experiences. So for us, the KPI would be, how does it help us achieve our mission?
Je vais prendre la question de ChatGPT parce que la valeur ajoutée de l'IA dans le rôle de l'interprétation n'est pas majeure en ce moment. Alors, le plus grand mythe que l'industrie continue à nous vendre, c'est que l'intelligence artificielle va bouleverser nos vies, en ce sens qu'elle sera à notre service et qu'elle va donc beaucoup l'améliorer. Mais il y a une étape qui est oubliée entre-temps, c'est-à-dire que ça va, je pense, creuser beaucoup les disparités sociales, les disparités dans les conditions de vie, et que si peut-être un jour on réussira à récupérer cette espèce de... Je vais appeler ça la classe moyenne parce que tout le monde comprend de quoi je parle quand je dis ça, mais les disparités vont d'abord se creuser. Et quand je dis que les artistes, on est en première ligne des effets de l'IA, c'est exactement ce qu'on constate actuellement. C'est qu'il va y avoir une poignée d'artistes qui vont profiter de cette manne de l'intelligence artificielle. Je parle toujours des interprètes parce que pour nous, depuis l'avènement du numérique, il n'y a jamais eu de redevance pour les interprètes. Alors, on n'est pas des créatifs en ce sens. Il faudra probablement qu'on se recycle, mais les disparités vont être créées d'abord. Alors ça, c'est le mythe, je trouve, qui est encore persistant, puis où on nous prévient pas qu'il y aura quand même une bonne période d'ajustement pour l'humanité.
Mais je suis 100% d'accord, puis je pense que ça va aller bien pire. So, tu sais, comme je suis bullish, c'est là où on rentre, c'est que, tu sais, avoir étudié d'autres révolutions industrielles, on a tout ce qu'on a en ce moment, on a un arms race qui se passe. Ça, c'est clair, là, qu'il va être probablement une guerre. Tu sais, la première guerre qu'il y a eu avec l'intelligence artificielle, ça s'est passé juste avant le COVID, entre l'Azerbaïdjan et l'Arménie. Personne n'en parle, mais l'Arménie a perdu 20% de son territoire dans 2 semaines. C'est grosso modo des drones avec l'intelligence artificielle canadienne, des drones turcs qui ont détruit complètement des chars d'assaut de l'Arménie. On n'en parle pas beaucoup, mais ça commence à arriver. Puis quand on parle exactement, pourquoi que les artistes se sont fait automatiser premiers? Exactement à cause que vous n'avez pas le droit sur vos données. Les places qui ont pu résister, là, comme on regarde les radiologistes, il y a une compagnie à Montréal qui s'appelait Imagia, ils ont levé 50 millions, ils ont fait banqueroute. Parce que les radiologistes n'ont jamais laissé l'IA rentrer dans leur ordre.
Mais on a des droits.
Vous avez des droits. Puis je pense que c'est des façons qu'on peut aller, mais quand on regarde tout ce qui est graphique, qui est déjà sur l'Internet, qui n'est pas protégé, la seule place maintenant où moi j'ai investi dans des compagnies d'intelligence artificielle, c'est où il y a une sorte de moat, qu'on dit en anglais, sur les données. Si toi, tu as des données que OpenAI n'a pas pu voler, tu as une compagnie qui vaut quelque chose. OK? Puis l'autre chose qu'on parle, ça, c'est où il va y avoir des losers énormes, c'est que ça, j'ai partagé quelque chose avec Satya Nadella qui a parlé avec Drakesh. Puis même Satya Nadella, il a dit qu'il y a trop de hype en ce moment en intelligence artificielle.
Microsoft CEO.
Oui. Puis ils ont annulé depuis ce temps-là 4 centres de données. 4. Puis Microsoft a investi 80 milliards juste en intelligence artificielle cette année. Qu'est-ce qui arrive, c'est que tout le monde, les gros investissements qu'on fait, il va juste avoir un méga joueur gagnant. Et tout le monde joue, ils dépensent l'argent comme si eux, ils l'étaient. Alors, OpenAI joue comme s'il va être un gagnant. Facebook joue comme s'il va avoir un gagnant. Google joue comme s'il va avoir un gagnant. Alors, quand tu mets tous ces investissements ensemble, juste, ça c'est la question que j'ai envoyée, en infrastructure d'intelligence artificielle l'an dernier, ça date déjà d'1 an, il y a eu 600 milliards dépensés. Les revenus de OpenAI sont quoi? 3 milliards. On a un esti de bout à faire, là. Puis oublie pas que quand on fait des
Esti était quand même juste...
Non, il n'y a pas assez. Oublie pas que quand tu fais... Je regarde Emmanuel, qui est juste là, qui construit des centres de données. Quand tu fais ton centre de données, là, les chips ont une dépréciation de 60% par année. C'est 2 fois plus qu'un auto. Alors, dans 4 ans, il faut que tu récupères ton investissement de 600 milliards.
Who's going to pay for that?
Oui, c'est ça, qu'ils attendent après qui pour...
Il va y avoir des grosses surprises dans les bourses.
Il nous reste vraiment pas beaucoup de temps. There's really just 4 minutes left, and I want to close off with, maybe future-proofing. That's the term that I've used last week. It was like, think about the ethics of AI is not slowing it down, it's future-proofing its development. And now it's my mantra because I want to think in the future. And we've often said that it's really, really hard to project yourself. You've said it yourself, Jean-François, to project yourself over 5 years and in 10 years. But that's exactly my question. That's not ChatGPT's or Gemini, that's my own. What part of this AI hype cycle or super hype cycle will we be embarrassed about in 10 years? I'm going to start first. How Western-centric this debate is. By 2030, 50% of the world population is born on the African continent. Where are they, except for conversations about what's happening in Cameroon that we've heard before, and I really appreciate this, but where's the conversation about how this youth is going to use, choose, and develop new systems and new databases? Because they are 50% of the world population of under 35, so the future, by 2030. And I welcome this new data. But it's not discussed in our debates, as though we're sure that North American and a little bit of European usage of data and development of AI is the only future possible. So I think we're going to be embarrassed in 10 years that we've thought of ourselves as the only world out there and future possible, and we may regret it.
I'd say China would completely, I think China really disagrees with you. China is surpassing right now the US in AI by a long shot. And don't forget that $1 billion in China gets you a lot more developers. One developer at OpenAI, guess how much they make? $800K a year, starting with a PhD. That gets you 4, 5, 10 people in China. So it's not Western-centric. India is really moving fast. So if you don't include China for you in the West, how does that work? Is China Western?
No, you're right.
So China is going to lead this. And we really have to ask ourselves, do we want a dictatorship axed on world domination and destroying, you know, what? How much are the Uyghurs that they're liquidating? 80 million people? Do we want a country that's killed 60 million of its own people in the Cultural Revolution? Is that who you want leading?
No.
Well, I don't know then. Maybe democratic countries leading AI is not such a bad idea.
Mais pour faire du pouce là-dessus, moi je pense que pour pas être embarrassé puis regarder le passé dans 10 ans, c'est vraiment de réussir à percer le mainstream sur les enjeux dont on parle aujourd'hui. On est toujours dans les conférences, on voit les mêmes personnes, on est au Québec. Pour moi, c'est comment... J'étais jeune un cours au HEC, des dirigeants, puis il y a des leaders de compagnies qui viennent, puis je suis surpris à quel point que leur connaissance de la techno est en arrière, parce que ça a toujours été les IT. Tu sais, les IT s'occupent de ça, les IT s'occupent de ça. Ça peut plus être juste les IT qui s'occupent de ça dans les entreprises. Et fait que pour moi, ma crainte, c'est qu'on soit embarrassé de ne pas avoir bougé et d'en avoir parlé assez et d'avoir réalisé qu'il y a une guerre présentement entre les États-Unis puis la Chine. Puis quand j'entends des gens critiquer le nombre de nuclear power qu'ils font aux États-Unis, les gens ne comprennent pas la forêt, là. Les gens regardent les arbres, ne comprennent pas ce qui se passe présentement, que qu'on aime les États-Unis ou pas, on est attaché avec les développements qui se passent aux États-Unis. Donc, moi, c'est ma plus grande crainte qu'on n'en ait pas parlé assez. Et parlons-en, parlons-en.
Mais je crois que personnellement qu'on sera embarrassé si les plus grandes promesses ne sont pas tenues et qu'en fait, ce qu'on constate au bout de 10 ans, c'est une dégradation politique à travers le monde. C'est-à-dire que on sent que ça attaque beaucoup les institutions démocratiques en ce moment, les géants du numérique en général, puis comme ils ont beaucoup de pouvoir sur le développement de l'intelligence artificielle, je pense que c'est ça qui va nous embarrasser le plus, c'est si on se rend compte que, oups, on l'a échappé, on n'a pas fait contribuer tous les secteurs d'activité humains à ce développement-là. On n'a pas été capable de lever les drapeaux rouges les uns et les autres pour protéger l'humain et qu'il s'ensuit parce que ce dont on parlait tantôt, les disparités vont augmenter. Est-ce qu'elles vont augmenter pendant longtemps ou un certain temps? Je pense que c'est ça qui va nous rendre le plus embarrassés, c'est d'avoir écouté les sirènes plus que, je me souviens plus ce matin qui disait, d'avoir écouté les sirènes plus que les monstres marins et que ça va... S'il y a une grande dégradation politique à travers le monde, je pense que on va être embarrassés.
You have 0 seconds, but you may go.
From a personal place, I think I'll be hopefully embarrassed about how much sleep I have lost over this topic, especially after talking to Claude. Me too. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two also is just the passivity with which I've been watching this go by, realizing in 2023 that as a business owner, as an employer of artists, coders, programmers, people whose jobs are on the line, that I had a responsibility to take this very, very seriously. And so I just wanted to talk about one quick thing. We have a partnership with Cedrin, funded by SODEC. It's an Innovant program, and we're developing a set of best practices, particularly for the animation industry, that looks at environmental, human labor impact, copyright, and artistic integrity. So it's just a beginning, but I think I didn't want to be embarrassed in 10 years from now not doing anything active that gives tools to my team, to my ecosystem, with which we can filter and make decisions together. So
Thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. This is the end. As you've seen, this is a panel that's happening here, but I've heard it happen in the hallways, and I've heard it happening in the cafeteria next to the bar. It's going to happen again tonight during cocktails, I'm sure. It's going to look like that. It already sounds like that, but it's so healthy that we're having these debates finally and not just putting ourselves in a dichotomy position. So thank you for playing along, guys. This was really fun. And I hope to see you more. And please don't be shy to talk to them, because you'll learn a lot. You'll sleep less, but you'll learn more.